What are the advantages of the project planning board? In the project planning board, you have a live overview of all your employees and projects, allowing you to always make a good preliminary calculation of your project. You can enter a budget, and in the planning board, you can actually see how far along you are on a project. So you always have insight and know, hey, maybe out of the 1,000 hours we budgeted for a project that we still have 500 left. And maybe I need to make adjustments because I no longer have enough hours available. Furthermore, your employees receive real-time updates. All employees you drag into the schedule receive the work orders in real time in their calendar. They can log hours and materials on it, and these automatically appear on the project where you have scheduled and dragged them. So you always have a clear overview in one place in the project for a nice post calculation as well. After all, you want to know if you have gained anything from the project and if you have been profitable. Well, then we will give you a demo of how this looks in the project planning board in the account. So now we will take a look at my demo account where I will give you a tour of this new module. In front of you, we see the traditional planning board where we see the employees here and where we normally move the work orders to the employee. In this case, we have developed the new option, the project planning board, where you can find the screen configuration option at the top right under the 3 dots. Here you can click on Planning Board Filter and switch the Work Order Project button. Well, then you need to close it below for a moment. And once you've done that, you'll see the slider appear between the Work Order Overview and the new feature, the Project Overview. But as you can see now, I don't have any projects in the overview yet. The project planning board is actually a different way of planning, where instead of dragging the work orders to the employee in the work order overview, you drag your employees to your projects in the project overview. Because your projects they can be projects lasting several weeks or months, but this is a completely different way of planning where you have more overview based on the projects. It all starts with creating a project. In this case, I don't have a project in my account yet. Then you can navigate to the Projects tab, and then we'll first add a project. You can give that project a name. Let's, in this case, call the project Building a House. The project code, which is essentially a project number, can be filled in. Well, I'll give it a random code. And you can also assign an external project number. This could be, for example, an external project number from the client. I'm entering a number now, but you could fill in your own number and the client's external number. Then what's also important is creating statuses. You can do this via the gear icon, where you can create your own statuses. In this case, I have entered to start, in progress, and done. This way you can indicate the status of your project and also link colors to it so that in your project planning board, you can precisely see and manage the status of your project and make adjustments where necessary. Furthermore, you can also link skills to it. In my account, I have a few skills, for example, tiling, plumbing, and then you can indicate, hey, for this project, you need to have these specific skills. This is of course relevant for when you are scheduling employees for this project. Furthermore, you indicate when the start date of the project is and the end date. Start date, in this case, let's set it to April. So from the 1st of April to the 30th of April. Then you can provide a more detailed description of the project. You naturally link the client. I'll take a fictional client in this case. And in that, you can do a bit of preliminary calculation. Maybe for this project, let's say you have budgeted 1,000 hours. Then you could manage that, and all the slips created below will actually start the counter. So you can see, hey, I might have already used 500 of my 1,000 hours. Maybe we need to make some adjustments. Well, that can also apply to the costs and the expected revenues. In this case, we're using hours as an example, where we save the project. And an important, or perhaps a nice addition, is the project activities. These are essentially sub-projects. So suppose we need to build a house and I say, hey, we also need to, demolition is a part of that. And the demolition runs from April 1st to April 3rd, for example. and you can also link a status to that. What you're essentially doing is breaking the project into sub-projects. So you gain more insight into the activities, the components of your project, and you can see which part you've already completed and what's coming next, along with a more detailed project planning. For this example, I'll add 2 activities. So, demolition and tiling, for example. Suppose I have to do a certain project. Then you can break it down into nantum components. And this one runs from April 3rd to April 4th. Now, because we have filled this in, we can now go to the planning board and see the projects tab there. For an overview, I will set it to a month. And then, of course, we will go to March and then April. And then you can see here exactly, hey, my project starts on April 1st and ends on April 30th. And I can see here the different activities under when we have planned what. You can easily drag them from here to make them longer or shorter, for example. If you want to move certain parts to a different date, and you can expand up those or collapse the project. To see a more detailed project overview, well, you can also drag activities up or down. If you say, hey, tiling should come first, then you can switch them around this way. You can display multiple projects in an overview here, where you can choose. Do you only want the initial overview, so the duration of the entire project? Or do you want it expanded with the number of activities underneath? From here, you can also create new projects via the plus button. You can go to the start of your project using this arrow, and I'm already in this overview. Suppose I go back to March for a moment and click on this icon. Then it will go to the first day of your project. Now you can see all the employees listed below. Suppose I want to schedule someone for that first day because I want people to go that we do the first part. We first need to demolish a part of the previous foundation, for example. Then you can click here on the correct day and you'll see that it filters below for that specific day. And then I can drag those employees over there. Then it creates a work order, filling in everything for you regarding the project, the activity, the client's name. Then you can assign it a start and end time and date, and you can set it up, provided, of course, that we have chosen the type of work. In this case, it creates a work order. I will drag it a bit longer. Here you can see that this employee is now going to this job. Suppose they need to go together, then you can easily drag the second employee there as well and link them to this work order. Then you see that these 2 colleagues are going together, essentially collaborating on one work order. From here, it is now just a regular work order. And this work order will also appear in your other work order overview, in your traditional planning board. This is just a different way of planning, where you can easily and clearly schedule employees for a larger project. For example, we also have a yearly overview here, and you can scroll through the entire year. In this case, and then you will naturally encounter the project when it starts its activities, and you can easily expand or collapse it here. So you get a good insight into your projects and their status. Well, I can imagine you might have a whole list of projects that you eventually get to see here. Here you can also filter by projects, saying, hey, I only want to see the planning for this project now, or I only want to filter by status. The projects that have the status, for example, in progress. Suppose you click on the project here, then you can adjust the status here. This one is now in progress, for example. If you then filter on the ones like, hey, these are yet to start, then you find nothing now. But if I now filter on in progress, then the projects that you have given that status will appear, so that you can actually indicate what you want to see in this overview. Furthermore, you can also choose the statuses, indicate whether those statuses should be made visible here. Then it places them behind the project, so you immediately know what the status is. And you can filter on the projects themselves, of course, and the budgets you can display. We previously talked about those 1,000 hours we budgeted. Here you now see all the budgets. Hey, how much did we budget? And how far are we actually on this project? You can view that in this overview if you say show budgets. Or you can of course just look at the project itself. All the receipts that you now drag under this project. When you go to the project with the eye icon, they end up here in the bin with work orders, and all hours, materials, etc. are now recorded on this project, so that you have a complete overview of all your hours and all your materials. Furthermore, we also have a tool here, a kind of tour. There you see a question mark. You can click on it, and then you can actually read through the new project plan board at your own pace, where we have an interactive tour that guides you step by step through the software, so that you can review this at your leisure later on. Another great option is, of course, filtering based on those skills. We also had the skills section, where you can indicate which skills someone needs to have to be able to carry out this project. Suppose I am now looking for someone who can do leadership work, for example. Then I see now, hey, this employee has the leadership skill, which makes it easy for a planner to know who can do what and who is available on that day. Suppose he is not available, then it shows a red block, so you can see, hey, I can schedule this employee. And for example, not this one. You can also schedule equipment. Maybe you need a cherry picker to take along, then you can easily make the cherry picker schedulable from this overview, which they will then see on the app to take with them. You can also drag the type of work there instead of employees. If you say, hey, we have a certain work order that we want to create for the type of activity maintenance, then you can drag it to the project to directly create a work order. You can also very easily filter by date here. The easiest way is, of course, to just click on the day here for when you want to schedule someone, but you can also filter by date yourself here. Well, those are the main functionalities of the project planning board. Easily get an overview of your ongoing projects and quickly and easily adjust capacity. And actually, yes, a bit for calculation and estimation. Additionally, it provides a lot of flexibility. Maybe something changes daily in your project activities where planning needs to make decisions in the schedule. Is John going there or is Peter going there? Where he can choose himself. And easily drag these work orders so that the data is automatically and in real time transferred to the app, and that the employees know exactly what they need to do, which project they need to go to, who they are going with, and what they need to do there. Here you can see exactly whether there is too little or enough staff assigned to the project. And you also have insight into what the capacities are on your project. This allows you to continue managing your employees efficiently, which in turn leads to better customer satisfaction and efficient planning. The project planning board is therefore essential for project management. Do you want to know more about this module? We have, of course, written knowledge-based articles for this, also for the project planning board. You can find these in our online knowledge base. Or you can, of course, drop by and ask your questions.